Okay, this is Grim. This is the post-match debrief show at the Imperial Bourke Street. Just firstly, a great establishment with some great people around. We've actually got the family down here, Nick Musgrove. We've got your entire family here, the 3 kids, your beautiful wife. And we've got my little boy, Harry, who's sitting over there glued to Paw Patrol, which was infinitely better than watching the Melbourne Football Club today because they were absolutely putrid. And before we get stuck into it, boys, I actually wore this white hat as a symbol of Melbourne raising the white flag on their 2025 season because we're not even in April, but it looks like the season is dead and buried. I'm going to start there. I'll come to the elder statesman, Nick Musgrove, first, and then I'll come to Caden, who is very forlorn, and Devo. Nick, we're conditioned to this. We're used to this.
We've been here before and we'll be here again, and sadly we might be there right now. Feels a bit like we've come to a wake. Plenty of noise but a lot of sadness, sort of the feel right now. For me, the thing that I have seen before but not for a long time from this list is just that endemic uncertainty. We used to be robotic in our structure, and people sort of hated it as well, but we knew our structure, we knew what to do. Working it out of the back line, you knew where everyone was going to be, and the handballs fired out, and you knew where the next man was in the chain, and we knew what the game plan was, as simple as it was. Today, it wasn't clear to me, I think, sadly, or to them, what that game plan was. I think they knew what it was in their head, but when it's not instinctive and when it's not yet robotic and hardwired in, under pressure, there's panic, there's fumbling. We saw more fumbles today than I've seen in a decade of D's footy. And just sort of those comical things that start happening when a team's completely bereft of confidence. So sad to see such a lack of confidence so early in the year after such high hopes. But for me, the big takeaway was, and I'd love the take from a couple of experts here, like what the game plan's meant to be. And that's not a criticism. I can't read what it's meant to be yet. But it's very clear to me that it's not automatic enough to hold up under pressure yet.
Well said, Nick. Caden, you look like you're going to cry.
Oh, mate.
Take us through the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions of Caden McDonald on this beautiful Saturday arvo. How are you feeling, my friend? You look gutted. You look angry, to be honest.
I thought you were going to go to me earlier. I didn't want to leave the Sunnies on for too long there.
Sunnies are done.
They were on for a long time.
They're good Sunnies, by the way.
No, I don't know. It's getting to...
What are they?
It's almost like a little bit comical being a supporter at the moment, just because of the fundamentals. Like, if we're taking marks inside 50s, taking marks in defence, hitting our handballs and falling short to the Suns, just because they're a pretty good outfit, like, you cop that one on the chin. But we're weirdly in the third quarter, and we're a goal away from really being back in it, and we've played some of the worst football I've ever seen. And it doesn't feel game-style-y. It feels like fundamentals. We're just missing out massively on easy handballs, easy kicks. Players like Viney, it feels like he hasn't trained with the rest of the group all pre-season. He's coming in and clicking the eject button in and around a contest when we're all designed to go by hands, or he's kicking it left when everyone's leading right. Like, there's a couple of players that are just so tailor-made to what we were doing in the last 4 or 5 years and haven't jumped onto what we're doing now. So the cohesion and the connection is all over the shop, and it's just snowballing into these massive deficits. It's frustrating, but it's becoming slightly comical.
I'm going to take you back to the first quarter. So, what we were all hoping for was a fast start. What we actually got was one of the most ill-disciplined, clumsy, fumbly starts I've seen from Melbourne in a long time. Everyone wanted the response after we lost to North Melbourne. What they served up was a gift on a platter. They said to the Suns, you haven't won here since God knows how long. Was it 2014?
Yeah, they haven't beaten us since 2014.
Yeah, or beaten us in that time, since 2014. The point is, we just gave them the impetus so early in that game through faults of our own. We were actually playing some okay footy. Yes, the forward 50 connection was pitiful, and we're used to that as Melbourne supporters. But the reality is, when you need to respond after the efforts of last week, do not give a team a sniff, particularly a team that think they're on the rise, that want to prove a lot of doubters wrong. And what we did in that first quarter is we just said, here you go, here's the blueprint. But not only the blueprint, we just gifted them the most inexplicable goals. And it was very un-Melbourne-like. It was very ill-disciplined, which is something I wouldn't associate with the Simon Goodwin side. That, for me, was so incredibly frustrating because I thought from quarter time onwards, we were just pushing shit uphill.
Yeah, Stephen May's been a champion for a long time and by no means writing him off, thrilled that he re-signed. Wasn't a great day for him. Just that moment early where he was frustrated and he pushed the bloke over, gifting the first goal of the match. That just sets such a depressing tone. Like, he's a leader. He's a former captain of the club he was playing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Just to push a bloke over and give them a 50 and a goal line goal right out of the gate says a lot about mindset, and it sort of followed through for the rest of the day. It was a sad watch. It wasn't the kind of loss for me where I walked away spewing because I know we could have done better, or we gassed it, or we panicked in big moments. We were clearly the second best team on the field, and it's because we didn't know how to execute. My big fear is having drafted a glut of inside bulls by design, which wielded a flag, playing the most unbelievably brutal contested footy we could possibly hope for. Do we have the cattle to ask them to do something more nuanced than that contested repeat stoppage game? Are we applying a blueprint to a group of players that don't have the skill set?
I think the third quarter is emblematic of that exact point. The kicks that were coming out of defensive 50 that were getting chopped up by Suns players not able to hit targets 15, 20 metres away when they were taking the 45 angle into the corridor. I think the players are confused. They're trying to open up the ground and play a style they're not used to. We've seen the kick down the line style for the last 3 years. They feel the pressure of taking a 20-metre kick into the corridor and they can't execute it. Fundamentals like you spoke about, Caden. I think the other part for me, if we want to go bigger picture, I walked out of the ground today early, admittedly. I had to get Harry out of there and beat the congestion, the traffic.
Don't expose it to that sort of trauma. Just get him away from it all.
What have we done to our children? Oh, these poor kids. They have no idea what they're in for. I've come out of it bigger picture going, all right, we're no good. We're just not a good footy side anymore. We've probably held on with a few of the senior players, the likes of Jake Melksham, Stephen May, Tom McDonald and the like, these types of guys. And look, Simon Goodwin was a good coach, in my opinion. There was a time in the game where the contest defence nature of what we did was able to contain these relentless slingshot, handball happy sides that we've come up against. I think we've just got a little bit older, a little bit more brittle, and our defensive system has fallen down. Hence the fact that two teams have put 120 plus on us in the last 2 weeks. So, it's okay. Simon Goodwin's been around for 10 years. He was a good coach. Is he a good coach anymore? Probably not, because he hasn't been able to adapt in the last 3 years. It was another great example today. And if you take the emotion out of it, which is really hard for Melbourne supporters because we're an extremely emotional club, we are 5-13 in our past 18 games. That's all you need to know. We are 5-13. We are not a good football side anymore. Does it hurt saying that? Yes, of course it does. But if you can strip it back and be objective about it, we're a club that needs to make some significant changes to the list, I think, this off-season. I'm way ahead. Whatever happens in the next 19, 20 weeks, to me, I wouldn't call it slightly irrelevant. I'll get excited about guys like Harvey Langford, Jake Bowie, who looks like he's bounced back and become the player that we know and love. There will be other positives to come out of this season. Hopefully Caleb Windsor, Judd McVie, these types of guys, when they get back into the team. I think we need to start planning ahead. And I don't expect you to answer. I don't want to put you on the spot and put you in a tricky position. But if a guy like Adam Simpson actually came along and we had the opportunity to get him into our football club to freshen it up, you have to take it. You have to take it with both hands. And again, this is not a knock on Simon. I just think it's time. You've done as much as you can. You were a great coach once, in my opinion, but I just don't think that you've got the tactical nous to get us to where we need to get to with this group. And I think we need to replenish, and we need to plan before Tasmania come in. And as I said, if a guy the calibre of Adam Simpson were to be on the table and we had the chance to get him, I think you got to go for it.
Yeah, and there's a couple of to tail off the back of that, there's a couple of coaches out there with that calibre in terms of John Longmire. I think Buckley's very good. Adam Simpson. But when I do hear D supporters, and they've been saying it for years, like in 2019, 2020, they wanted Goody gone. And then in the last couple of years when we've fallen short, that comes up a little bit. But I just sort of go back to the unknown of trying to change a position like that. Like, I think Goody would be as good as many coaches out there. So I think it would be almost, we'd be doing it to freshen up the voice rather than trying to find someone better than Goody. Because I think credentials-wise, he's as good as anyone out there. So,
but is he good tactically?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. Like, there's a few wins a year I go, that was because of the coach's box. Like, when we beat Geelong last year, I went, man, Goodwin's done a number here. Keeping it to 60 versus 65, and we get over the line. Against GWS, I was like, oh, man, he's done it again, like against Kingsley as well, who's a pretty good coach. So we're inconsistent. My biggest frustration at the moment is that fear of the 45. Tom McDonald scuffing a kick, going inside, where it bounces just before Bowie or Clary or whoever it was, puts them under the pump. It's a simple kick. My biggest frustration is Craig McRae said, we're going to play this way a couple of years ago, and he said we're embracing the imperfections. Oleg Markov is going to butcher one inside. We're going to stuff a kick out on the wing, but we're going to embrace the imperfections. They're going to kick easy goals out the back, but we're going to die trying with this method. And they fully backed it in. I feel like we're half doing it. We're sort of half going the 45, half trying to go by hands. We haven't fully committed to it, and that's leaving us just exposed everywhere. We're not good offensively, and we're now exposed defensively. It's like you got to embrace the imperfections and really lean in. That's my concern at the minute.
I think something that has not worked for Goody in embracing this new game plan is possibly our three best runners in his head in terms of how this game plan might work aren't on the park. It's not in any way or shape or form an excuse. It's not. We weren't good enough today. But I would love to see McVie and Cozzy and Windsor actually providing that run. I think it'll help. But yeah, I agree, Katos. I just felt like there was a fear of getting it wrong. Almost like you could almost sense it in the crowd where like they got the ball and they're like, I know I need to do the 45 and it will be right on the edge of my ability. But I'll either just hit it or I'll just miss it and we turn
Sort of going to half do the 45. I'm not going to really penetrate and kick and, if we fumble, we should all run and go. I don't know. It's like this half. We're doing a half thing at the moment.
Remember when Max went 45, bounced over a bloke's head and we actually kicked a goal because he at least took the corridor. Like that was a good moment of leadership. The skill was beyond him in the moment, but he knew what he had to do and he did it. And he probably knew, I'm the last person that should be making this kick. I'm 210 centimetres. But he did it, and lo and behold, we actually scored a goal.
Can I speak about that, though? Because there's two examples of what transpired that I thought was quite funny. So there are a couple of boys in the stands with us. Shout out to Richie Johnson and EJ.
How were they today?
They were hilarious because you could tell that the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
So we all had a bit of fun. And just to pick up your point there, and let's lighten the mood a bit, but we could not get out of our D50 early in that third quarter. Could not get out. We just kept kicking it back to them. It was so hard to watch. And then the only reason why we got out is because Max got a free kick. So we got to push in the back or something of that nature.
Oh, did we get a free kick today? Oh, my goodness.
So Gorney gets his free kick, which was our out ball, right? And then, as you say, he takes that kick into the corridor. It takes the most almighty bounce over their press and their zone. Track mops it up. It somehow gets to Sharpie. And Sharpie bins it on his left. And then I said to the boys, I was just like yelling at him, having a laugh, going, goal sauce, goal sauce.
Yeah.
Like that was our goal sauce. So I think it spoke to the method just being so clunky all day. And then the other thing, there was one example I think that just sums up the entire Melbourne performance for me. And there's many, don't get me wrong, but this one was the one. It's the end of the third quarter. We've got a bit of momentum. Fritter just inexplicably drops one.
Goodness.
Who's had a nearly day. He's missed a couple of shots in the second quarter that were gettable. We're looking for him to get some confidence back in his game. And then this is his big moment, to kick a goal on three-quarter time to give us a sniff, because we had some momentum. It's probably the only time in the game where we looked threatening. Drops it, and then it just... I couldn't believe it. It went down the other end in about 10, 15 seconds, and the Suns had kicked one on the siren and just snuffed out any hope of a miraculous Melbourne comeback. And that, for me, was symbolic of just what we dished up all day. Getting killed in transition and not taking your opportunities.
And it's a simple skill error. And it was almost an unforced skill error. And there were so many of those across the park, in defence, up front. Van Rooyen, I love Van Rooyen's hands, but he's a double grabber. He's a clunky double grabber at the moment. All across the park, just simple marks, simple skill errors. And it just compounds, it snowballs. Like, yeah, we got off to a slow start, but we were one relieving goal away from sort of relieving the pressure and getting back in it. But then instead of kicking a relieving goal, we'd take a pressure-inducing skill error that put us right under the pump. We did that all day, and then I assume we'll touch on it, but what their midfield did to us and what teams' midfields have done probably since... I reckon when the Swans rocked up in the qualifier 2 years ago, they did a bit of... I remember in and around that time going, oh, we're not this vaunted midfield that I thought we were, because teams would go to work on us. And since then, it feels like our midfield just hasn't been the all-conquering, personnel that it was. So, once that midfield got cooking for them today...
How good were they?
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Matt Rowell in the third quarter... just walked it out like 5 times in a row with the same tactic. It was almost like, arm across, boys.
We could have, again, not an excuse, we could have been playing a side that is ready to take their chance to make finals for the first time. They looked devastating in transition, which is what the modern game is, and obviously we're not very good at it, and that the hope is we become good at it at some point in the future, but it looks like the Suns have the right profile, if we're going to talk about the Suns for a couple of minutes, to do something.
Anderson and Rao were frightening.
Yeah.
For me, because I'm so Melbourne-centric, it takes a hell of a performance for me to even notice like individual opposition brilliance, but both were incredible. Also noticed how Rao just bullied Clary all day. Like every stoppage, he was just relentlessly into him. Like, there was such an aggressive mindset. Like, it was just such a hard day at the office for Clary. Again, it makes you sad when you're like, your prize inside mid, a bull that, can't be tamed, is sort of getting bullied by like almost like an apprentice of his. That was tough to watch. And then just those moments of class from Anderson, that goal, around his body.
Amazing.
Very impressive. A lot cleaner than we were.
I feel like the word bullied is absolutely spot on, but it feels like everyone's getting bullied. Like, I felt like Max got bullied last week by Tristan Cherry, who's a great ruckman. I felt like our midfield got bullied by this young and up-and-coming North Melbourne midfield. Tommy Powell's, manhandling some of our bigger bodies, and we're looking, not strong. We don't plant our feet. Petty a couple of times. I've been a massive Petty apologist for a long time. And I love him because, what he did at age 21, 22 when we were winning flags was stuff that I hadn't seen from a key back up and coming for a while. But he's getting pushed out of the way by Bailey Humphries, pushed out of the way by Ben Long. So across the park, we're getting manhandled and bullied everywhere. And once again, is that system? Are we not hitting it to advantage so we're out of position so it's quite easy for Rao? Or are we not strong enough? Are we not in the weights room? Get down to Amy Park and start curling some iron.
I don't know, but if I'm going to try and look at the positives from today, the Demon Army cheer squad, your flags are so big.
Great flags.
They are overbearing and majestic and some of the best flags in the competition, so thank you. That was a massive positive. My son, Harry, who's in the background, as I said, watching Paw Patrol, he commented on the flags. He was like, Daddy, the flags are so massive. And I'm like, yep, they're amazing. So that was a big positive. So well done to the Demon Army. But if I'm being serious, Harvey Langford has to be the one.
Oh, my goodness.
We've got a player, a shout-out to Xavier Lindsay. We hope he's okay because he's class, and we've already seen that 2 games in. Goes off within a matter of minutes of the game today. So fingers crossed he's all right. But Harvey Langford's a positive. He was fantastic. We got a glimpse of what he could be for us in the future.
Yeah, for me, like I look at him and I looked at Lindsay last couple of weeks, and you go, right, there's the future, and they're going to be real headliners as long as we keep their development going. And they've got the guns at the club to bring him through.
Yeah.
I remember that wasn't always the case, where Nathan Jones was bringing himself through, and there wasn't that exchange of generational talent. Like, we have that. That's a real positive. That, Clary and Track will be fantastic role models for them. I just hope we can hit a sweet spot where those 4 can all play great footy before it's too late at the back end for Track and Clary. Hopefully there's a few more years where they can be a big 4 of sorts. There's a big positive there. I also like Bowser's game, by the way.
Yeah, he was good. Were there any other positives for you? And then I'm going to throw a question to both of you about how are you going to approach as individuals, as supporters of this football club, paid up members, diehards, doing this Nuffy podcast. I'm going to ask you a question about what do you do mentally to embrace what comes before us in the next 19, 20 weeks? I'll ask you that question in a bit, but any other positives for you?
A lot of positives, and it's just weird that...
A lot of positives?
Yeah, there's positives everywhere.
Where?
We're at the G on a Saturday.
You're going there, right? You were with Broden?
I was with Broden.
How was the great man?
Padded seats, which was good.
How was he?
Funny.
How angry was he?
He was pretty disappointed, to be honest. Pretty
good
disappointed.
on you, Broden. We love you. What a great man.
Yeah.
He's very funny.
We've got this crop that's like 21, 22, and a few of them are in a bit of a holding pattern. So it was good to see Bowie take that next step, which we've known of since he debuted.
Who else?
Chandler, again. I thought last week he's backed it up. Yep. I thought Ed Langdon was pretty good on the wing.
Better.
Harvey. I'm so excited by Harvey. Was that better than... So I would say that this is Harvey's debut, because he didn't debut in GWS. Yeah. If this was his debut, where does that rank out of him and Lindsay? Lindsay round 1, Harvey round 3. 26, kicked a snag. Every goal, I think in our first 4 goals, he had 2 goal assists and he was in the chain for all of them. He was just...
The only thing is, we were sitting here 13 days ago.
Oh, boy.
We're so positive.
Celebrating one of the great losses.
Yeah. Celebrating a famous loss. Reveling in a famous loss almost. Kidding ourselves and convincing ourselves that we're onto something.
Yeah, we felt close.
Yeah, I was saying we did the England and claimed a moral victory. Yeah, we went 1-0 up in the Ashes.
I still feel like we're 1 and 2.
Look at us now. I would have to go with Lindsay purely on the fact that I think scoreboard is affecting my perception. In the wash-up, I'll go back and watch the replay tomorrow and look at Langford's game, and maybe Langford's game was better. The biggest point here is we've got 2 gems. I think we've clearly recruited very well for those 2 players. I think we've clearly recruited well for guys like Windsor. I think Colton Tholstrop is going to be a player as well.
I think so too.
I'm bullish on him.
Yeah.
Judd McVie is a gem. He's a rookie. I think guys like Trent Rivers, once they get more settled in the midfield, he was awful today, but many were.
He's going mid and then back line.
I know,
and
it's confusing for him.
Cozzy back will help, I think.
Cozzy
He'll
back
go through
helps.
the midfield.
Yeah.
Cozzy will help. I was gonna try and get positive, but I just wanted to remind you, next week we go down the highway to play Geelong.
It's always a fun time to be alive.
I said to Richie again, another shout out to him, I said, next week's going to be fun because we're catching up with our great mate Alex Kingham, David Cooper, these types of people. So we're just going to have a throwback, get together with the fellas, enjoy ourselves, not get too caught up in the footy, just enjoy the company of others because we know what we're in for. We're walking into Mordor. We are walking into the gates of hell.
And we didn't bring the ring.
No.
We shouldn't even be there.
So I know what I'm walking into next week, but it'll be lovely to be around some lovely people. So that's the way we've approached it. But to wrap this up, how are you going to approach what could be a very long season?
Okay. I think I'm pretty clear on what I want to get out of this. I want to see whatever the game plan is that they are committed to become muscle memory over time, which is going to be painful. But I do remember going to the Melbourne Hawks game last year where we probably won by
50 points.
Yeah, 50 points. And the Hawks game plan was all over the shop, and Mitchell had to answer questions in the presser and defend it and explain it. And he said, "Oh, look, they took it too literally, or they don't know what it is yet." And we all know what they went on to do. Now, I think it'd be a real stretch to think we might go on a run like that, but it takes time for it to become automatic. So I just don't want them to hit panic and revert to old habits. If we are to move forward with a more modern game plan, all I want to see is that application every week. I want it to become clear what a Melbourne game looks like in this new configuration. So that's what I want to see.
I love that.
Can I just say another one to throw out there before we wrap? How many wins and what's our position if we want a crystal ball right now? Right now, after the proudness that was just coming out of us, out of our every orifice, we were just like, oh my God, we're onto something after the GWS loss. Where are you now? How many wins and what position?
We're a better team than today, and we
Okay.
won't all collectively fumble on the same day ever again.
How many wins? Come on.
8 wins.
8 wins?
Eight
And
wins.
what's that?
8 wins.
8 wins is what? 14th,
That's not
15th?
good enough. That's not good enough.
And what about you? How are you approaching it, and how many wins?
We might actually only win 8, but we need to win. We won 11 last year, and it was the lowest team had finished with 11
Yeah.
wins. I think we'll win 10.
10?
Yeah, I think we'll win 10. Yeah, but I think Nick's spot on. Like, just getting that
10.
muscle memory of the new game plan, getting hot in the second half of the year with personnel back, the game plan clicks, and we sort of become one of those teams where the commentators start going, oh, in the back half of the year, the D's have won 6 of the last 9, and we start to make it click. We get 20 more games into Windsor, 20 more games into Harvey, and we go into 2026 going, this younger brigade have some experience, the older brigade are ready to go, and I've called it. We're on for 2026.
Whoa. Okay, you want to hear
3.
mine? I'm going to hard wrap here. 5 wins, 17th,
No.
2019 areas, and we sign up Adam Simpson. We're out. See you later.
But, oh, God.